One of the most important things that I talk about is hair growth, hair health for women, helping you gain the confidence that you might have lost along the way. But another thing that I find very dear to my heart that I see so many women doing is being in a toxic relationship and being in the relationship that is so bad for you and just continuously forgiving, taking these people back, and believing everything that they say. So these people are narcissists, whether they're cheaters or using you for money. I don't know. The list can go on. A lot of these people have narcissist traits if they are not already full-blown narcissist. Why I talk about this, it's true to my heart because I was in a very, very narcissist relationship. So toxic. I mean, I had a couple probably that had traces of them, but this person just would disappear on me, would ghost me, then come back, and I would just be so lost without them. I mean, it was like an addiction. So I know what it's like. And when I hear other women talk about this and they believe these men, it is so disheartening and so heartbreaking because you can tell them all these things and all these stories that you've been through and that you will get over eventually. But it's like a really, really just vicious cycle that you have to get yourself out of. And I feel really strong about this. And I know that you feel like you're never going to get over it. You feel like that's the person for you. You're so in love with them. And I'm not taking that away that you aren't, having a form of love, but it also could be a codependency and a really just a bad habit. So until you really start to realize this and you're sick and tired of being sick and tired, that's usually what happens is you're just so tired, you're so drained from all of the stuff that they've done to you. And it's really, really sad because I've been there, like I said, and it was to a point where I felt like everything was just falling apart. I was just like I said, lost without him. I was sick. I couldn't eat at some point, and it was just so unhealthy. So this is why I talk about this a little bit. I know I haven't really covered a whole lot. I have a hair course I just put out for women, and it is something that I cover with hair. And then I do have a lesson that I just brought in with talking about some things on this. I don't go too much into detail. I do plan on doing some mini courses for it and to talk about what I've been through and what a lot of women are going through. So in my relationship now, I've since found a partner, a friend, and is it perfect? No, but we work through things and we balance each other out. We were friends for a year before we started dating. Now, I'm not telling you have to do this, but it's important to know that you can have a further in-depth friendship with someone that you're with other than, just being straight to being lovers, because it is so important when times get tough or things can go wrong or who knows, that you're there for each other in other ways. And I was single right before I dated him. I dated a guy for about 6 months, but right before that guy, I was single for 5 years, and I needed to give myself that. And of course, I'm not telling you to be single for 4 or 5 years or really long. It just turned into that. It turned into I had no dates. I didn't even, I didn't do any of that. And then eventually I just stopped missing that part of my life where I used to do this all the time. Like if I was broken up with someone, I would date someone and just, I didn't like to be alone for long periods of time. And so this is just something I had to really work on for myself. And so this is just something that it's just going to keep happening if you don't get yourself out of this stuck cycle. And I am detangling my hair because the last 2 days I did sleep with my satin scrunchie. So it did get a little tangled because if I don't sleep with my braids, it tends to tangle up a little bit more with the loose buns. So it does have a little bit of tangles in there, and I just put some of my hair oil in my hair. So you comment and let me know if you're going through any of these, ladies. I know it's so hard to walk away from someone that you're used to and then feels like that is just the love of your life and there's no other person like it. You'll never get over it, and that's just different for you. You don't understand. I mean, trust me, I know everything. I've been through it all. And I was literally just on the couch at one point of my life with this person, and I didn't eat. I didn't want to do anything. I was so down and so, like, literally lovesick. This person had me on a whirlwind of just crazy. And then he would come back and I would believe the stories he said. It was like he had this, this like magic wand over me. And I don't know, I was just so glad that he came back and I was around him. I craved it, and it was just crazy. Then he was around me. He was so, like, loving and romantic. So it was, those are traits of, or that is a narcissist, not traits. It is a narcissist. And I mean, I don't know how many times it happened to me, ladies, where one time he had said that, okay, he disappeared. The longest time he disappeared was for a month. And I kind of started getting over it, not completely, but I was doing my thing at the time. I was going out and just, hanging out with friends. And then all of a sudden I heard from him after, like, the longest time, after a month. Because, I called him, I texted him, he wouldn't answer, he wouldn't respond. And so, I finally stopped. And then I remember I think we were on the phone. He had said, oh yeah, something happened really drastic to I think it was his nephew, he said, which I'm talking like past, And so I was like, oh my God. And he was like, I think he said his nephew was a teenager. Well, okay, whatever, and I know that that's in my head now. I'm thinking, okay, if you're with someone and somebody in your family, it does happen, something very, tragic or whatever, they're going to get with you. They're going to keep in contact with you. So I just believed anything. And I was so blind that I would take this person back. So about maybe a couple months later, we were talking about something, having to do with that family member. And he mentioned this person and said, oh yeah, so-and-so, they were talking about, he had got a scholarship to college. I don't know, it was something. I know it was something. And I knew about it because he said the same family members of, the other person's mom or dad or whatever. And I said, isn't that the person that you said this is? And he just totally blew me off, tried to say something else, got mad at me. And I said, oh, it was a mistake. I said that. I'm like, that is a big mistake to say something about someone. So he had said that he had to go to another state to, in the beginning for this person. So I mean, like I said, I know, I've been there, I've done it all with bad relationships. And so I just want to tell you that you're worth more than that. And I know it's just not going to be like, oh, magically make it to where you just get out of these situations. But my talking about it, hopefully, the more I put out some lessons and talk a little bit more about it other than just hair care, that it'll open up some people's eyes, because you will get over it one day. You don't feel like it. You got to go through the pain. You got to go through the crying. You can't be looking on with their Instagram or their Facebook or whatever they're on, how they are, what they're doing, because that's the worst. You can't take their calls. You can't block the people. There's people that I know that had these kind of relationships that broke up, but they won't block the person, or they leave a door open. And that's just room for them to come and wreck your world apart. So it is something, ladies, that I feel we need to support each other and be there for each other and just try our best to encourage each other. So I just want to throw that out there. I know that, it's just been a little bit on my heart because I know that this is going on all the time. And if I can help a couple of people or give them some relief to know that you're not alone. And even though I'm not going through it right now, I did for many years, and it was so unhealthy. And I could tell you numerous of stories about things that happened with the person not being there for me when I had medical issues, and just, almost like being gone, like literally, from some issues I've had. And it was just, now that I look back and see that I put up with this and I was in the middle of this, it's just really hard to believe. Like, I don't really even think about it that much until I start talking about it. And I don't talk about it very much. So if you have any questions, leave them in the comments. If you have anything to say, if you're going through some things, I have my course that just launched, and it's about 5 cups of Starbucks coffees, ladies. I'm going to have numerous of things coming up that will be mini courses within the checkout pages, but right now I'm just starting with this, and I am working on my Facebook group. I was having issues, I think I mentioned it before, with Facebook. When you have it on private, it's sending out all these invites to people that are your friends. So this is only supposed to be for people that have joined my course or bought my course. And so I deleted it and I have to start it over again. So I will have it down in the description, and it will be available. You can go and check that out. I cannot wait to have you in the course, because this is more than just, like I said, it's more than hair. It's about putting yourself first. It talks a little bit about hormone replacement therapy, perimenopause, and postpartum. So if you're not in perimenopause, this is just for women in general. And so we need to support each other, like I said, ladies, and I hope you all have a great rest of your day. Thank you so much for stopping by.